Thank you very much.
Khun Suphajee Suthumpun graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Sociology and Anthropology at Thanbasat University in Thailand. It's a seemingly far cry from what she ended up doing, which is global technology services for IBM in their ASEAN headquarters in Singapore, and then becoming the country manager for IBM in Thailand, and then becoming the CEO of a satellite service provider, Thaicom PLC. And now she's the group CEO of the Dusit Thani Hotels, which owns and operates the Dusit and the Royal Princess chain of hotels. She is also the third CEO of this group's in this group's 70-year history after the founding owner. Now let me just say this very Tan Puying, Chanat Piya Uy, and her son Khun Chanin Donavanik. That was tough. Okay, and so she's obviously the first CEO outside the founding family. Now, in conversations with her, she will be the first to admit to you that her background is really not hospitality. So when you hear and read this for the first time, wouldn't you be intrigued to meet the person behind all these impressive credentials? Or be intrigued at what she took up in university and how she's been then having this experience in the business entities that she has been in charge of, how that is shaping the business that she's currently running. And on that note, let me introduce to you this amazing personality, Khun Suphajee Suthumpun. Please take a seat.
Good morning, everyone.
So whenever I say a Thai name, it's always that I have to take a deep breath because Thai names are so amazingly complicated, long, and very difficult to remember. I hope I did it well.
Yes, you did very well.
Okay, right. So we are here to actually cover a number of topics. Number one is talk to us about, when we had this little kind of talk before this conference, we said to each other, especially Khun Suphajee had said to me, I really don't want it to be just talking about Dusit as if I'm pushing Dusit to the audience. Because she's the group CEO of this company, she will naturally have to talk about Dusit. But really, we are conscious of that. And what we want to do is an overarching theme of how her experience running a hotel is going to be relevant to all of you, but using Dusit as her primary focus, okay? So first of all, why don't you give us an overview of what your mission and vision is for the Dusit Hotels?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Maria. And I'm actually quite honored and privileged to be here in front of you. And I'm actually quite shy because I probably have the least experience in the room when it comes to the hospitality business, but I will try my best. All right, as Maria just mentioned, I'm actually the first non-family member, becoming a CEO of this group. So therefore, when I first landed on this job a few years ago on January 2016, first thing that I did was I looked into what is actually a company visions and missions and core values. And the reason because I always place focus on people. My background actually came from different industries. As she mentioned about IBM, I spent 23 years with IBM. And I also was the CEO of the satellite company. Got nothing to do with hospitality business. But before we start anything, Maria, I think we need to also trying to understand and shape the directions and futures for the employee. At that time when I joined in 2016, about 7,000 employees around the few countries, to have the same way of thinking and direction So I look into vision and missions and also core values. And at that time, before I joined, the vision of the company was to be a preferred Asian hospitality provider to all stakeholders. To me, it's okay. Everyone can also have that kind of vision as well. But it's not telling, what is actually the unique characters of Dusit. Because these days, you need to be quite unique in how you position yourself in the market. We have to admit that we're actually not the biggest chain in the world. We're actually pretty small comparing to those big players. So then, I work with my team. Instead of the new CEO came up with the new visions, probably that is actually the fastest way to lead everyone in the organization. But I chose to work with my direct report and also the top talent in the organizations down the generation because I like to also get the combination of the feelings of what would we want to be. So we did actually have some session together, and our new vision since then, since 2016 till today, is now proud of our Thai heritage. That is actually not really a vision, but it's actually tell you who you are, right? Because if we're not telling anyone that this is actually the vision of Dusit, when you read the first part of the vision, you know it's us. Because we actually the first Thai brand, Thai hospitality brand in this country, founded 71 years ago. So proud of our Thai heritage, uniquely delivering gracious hospitality to the world. That is our vision, and that's what we do every day. So once we actually come up with that visions, I actually had another kind of workshop with my team and say that, when we talk about uniquely delivering gracious hospitality to the world, what do we mean? Because those who are going to deliver the visions is not Suphajee alone. It's 7,000 employees, and eventually we will grow. So therefore, we work on the definition of graciousness. How do we mean by unique? So we classify the graciousness into 5 key characters, work on 7 touch points, starting from greeting, the order handling, service handling until departure. Come up with the training. And luckily, because we also have education in our group as well, so we use our education teams to cascade these kind of actions around the graciousness to the whole organization so they know and embrace it. And that is the vision, as I mentioned. Then mission. The mission is also very simple and easy. The new missions that we came about was we empower our people to exceed expectations always. That is actually, I think it's actually quite powerful. As I mentioned, my gardener, my receptions, my bartenders, the housekeeper should feel empowered that they can deliver their job at their best, the capacities to impress the customers. So that is actually where we came about. And then it has to also be ensure that everyone in the organizations understand when we talk about empowerment, what do we mean. So then we also have another sessions, more than one session obviously over the times to discuss on what is actually empowerment we're talking about. And instead of Suphajee telling people that this is actually how empower is all about, I actually asked the team, the staff, to also share with me their story on their day-to-day service, or their day-to-day routine job, on what did they do that they feel that they empower, that they impress upon the customers.
So maybe to illustrate that,
Yes.
How effective you've been in implementing all these processes. Why don't we show them the video of the last checkout?
Okay.
How, as you know, the Dusit Thani Bangkok had closed down and are in the process of rebuilding. And what happened is that they filmed the last day of checkout. And I think that really illustrates how effective she has been, or even how close the people feel towards this institution that's been there for 70 years. Is that how long
the hotel that we
has
closed
been?
down was actually 50 years old.
Yeah.
The group actually founded, the
70 years
71
ago.
years.
So, but you can see how people feel very closely about this hotel. So we can just show you a little video that illustrates and just shows the emotions that people felt when they checked out. And the employees also.
It's sad that it's closing, but we look forward to what will look like in 4 years.
เรารู้สึกว่าเรามีความผูกพันมากแล้วเรารู้สึกว่าไม่ใช่แค่เราคนเดียวแต่ว่ามันเป็นความรู้สึกของคนไทยที่ไม่อยากให้ดุสิตต้องหายไปในระยะเวลา50 ปี
ความรู้สึกใจหายเล็กๆวันนี้มันจะต้องจบจริงๆแต่เรารู้ว่าข้างหน้าเรามีอะไรที่รอเราอยู่
อยากจะปิดตำนานของที่นี่ให้ดูดีที่สุดอะครับแล้วก็พอเปิดใหม่ขึ้นมาก็อยากจะให้ที่เนี่ยเป็นที่ที่ดีที่สุด
หนูเริ่มแรกเลยคือเป็นเทรนนีที่นี่ก่อนค่ะก็คือเราเริ่มจากอันที่อาจารย์ให้หาโรงแรมที่เป็น5 ดาวขึ้นไปเพื่อฝึกงานก็คือเราก็เลือกดุสิตธานีหลังจากนั้นก็เป็นเทรนนีอยู่ที่นี่ประมาณ4 เดือนค่ะหลังจาก4 เดือนก็คือเขาก็เลยชวนเราทำงานด้วยจนถึงตอนนี้4 ปีก็คือทุกคนค่ะไม่ว่าจะเป็นทั้งตัวนายบรรยากาศในการทำงานพี่น้องทุกคนเพื่อนร่วมงานก็คือมันทำให้เรารู้สึกว่ามันอบอุ่นแล้วก็เราไม่อยากจากที่นี่ไปไหนเลยค่ะนี้
สิ่งที่รู้สึกภูมิใจมากที่สุดไม่ใช่ตัวตึกไม่ใช่ตัวโรงแรมแต่คือพวกคุณทุกคนต้องขอบคุณมากๆ
So you were saying that none of these employees had been made redundant, right?
Right. When we decided to close down the hotel to renovate and build the new, hotel, one of the things that I gave as a direction to the team was that we will keep all these 588 staff. All right, we're not letting them go. We're going to, allocate them to some other area, and also, create a job for them. The reason is they're actually the signature, and it's actually the core spirit of Dusit. So we want to close this hotel as legacy. So it's not going away. The new hotels will come back, and all these people would also come back when we, open the hotels again in the next 4 years. Now it's probably 3.5 years. I told them that's my dream is. We actually took the photo together now when we're gonna close it down, and then when we have the new hotel coming back, everyone will come in front of the hotels and take another photo together again.
Okay, so this particular property will now be redeveloped,
Yes.
and you have plans to make it a mixed business development. Why don't you talk us through that, and also the various plans that you have linking, as you say, the Thai heritage, which is important to you, and the new and contemporary and modern ideas that you're implementing into the project.
Yes. Some of the people in the video, the guests mentioned about this hotel, that it's not just a hotel, but it actually was an iconic kind of buildings, iconic structures in the middle of Bangkok for 50 years. The hotel was built 50 years ago, 52 years ago, and we opened the door to the guests about 50 years. It was the tallest building in Thailand for so many years. It was only 22 stories. But at that time, right, it was actually a house of many new things that happening. So the people like what we offer from the structures, the architectures, to the services. So we like to keep all those legacy. So therefore, we work with quite a few experts, the architectures to define what are those that is actually good for us to still keep as a legacy. For example, if you familiar with our hotels, if you know, if otherwise, then you can Google search, after this. Our hotel have a character that is look like triangle, and also the main buildings look like triangle and has a golden spire on top. This is actually the resembling of Temple of Dawn. That is actually the characters that we also going to keep for the new complex as well. And we will add also residential, office, and retail, because this is actually the trend this day that the mixed-use development would probably maximize and optimize the land value. So therefore, for those who really like our fan, or the customer who love us and don't want to see us going away, we then keep all these informations on the structures and the photos. So we use quite a few technology to still maintain those. Using the virtual realities, we use 360-degree cameras, drone to capture all the features. So, and in the new hotel, we will have one floor as heritage floor that has a corner that the guests or who actually still missing Dusit and like to have a feel of Dusit can, wearing the glass, walk into this room, and then we feel like they walk back into, the old
time.
hotels that we have over
Okay.
time.
Should we show them this video this
Of course.
time? So to illustrate the design that this floor to you, we have this video that just kind of explain. You can explain later on. We'll have to run the whole video. I was hoping to pause it, but apparently the system here can't handle it. So we'll just run the whole video, and then you can explain exactly
Sure.
what's happening after the video. Okay.
So it's like, we keep everything, both, outside and inside, and also the having an M-book, talking about the heritage, the history of how we come about this hotel. And then we also having a virtual reality kind of capabilities for the guests or whoever who like to know, what we look like in the past to walk through this. And we keep some of the characters to still be at our new hotel. And because the new hotel would be a complex of mixed use, having the hotel, residential, retail, which going to be a retail space that going to be also underground, connecting to the underground train. This is actually the location of this hotel is actually the intersection between the underground train stations and above the ground train station, the BTS line, the only spot in Bangkok. So therefore, we will have a retail space, down there, underground, about 4 level, connect with the train station underground, and then people can still walk up to the above level, and then in the podium of this space, total complex is about 480,000 square meter, about 1.2 billion US dollars investment. So people still can, come up to the above the floor, and we decided that the main podium would be another park, the Sky Park, that connect directly to the park opposite to our hotel. With this, then we also use another kind of technology because we like to also open the area for the publics to come as well. But in order for us to know them, the public who come to use the park, the Sky Park that I just mentioned about, we will use data. So they need to also enroll themselves into the applications so that when they comes to our park, we will capture with all the surveillance cameras, in our complex to make sure that you actually well behave. Because if you come, and we also open this up for pet-friendly area as well. So if you have some pets, you like to take your pets come, it's okay too. So if you behave yourself, your pets,
i.e. you spend a lot of money.
right? So we will actually, allow you to come back again. But if you're naughty, you're not doing well, then we not allow you to come.
So there will be a social ranking.
Exactly, and we use this data to understand their behavior. So for example, we can also use this data to connect with them for the applications that I said, everyone, if you want to come to this area, you need to register yourself to this app, right? So when we know that where is an opportunity that we can upsells and offer something else, because this actually a complex of everything. It's a lifestyle kind of complex. So therefore, we probably offer them some drinks, some shopping items, some of the services that we have.
So there will probably be some questions here about data privacy laws, but which we will tackle later on,
Sure.
Later on in the session. So we're just kind of parking that for the moment. So in the meantime, the largest market segment at the moment are the millennials. So what are you doing to address that at the Dusit Thani hotels?
Millennials become very, very important. Not only that they're actually quite large, but also the growth is actually quite high as well. And Dusit actually founded 71 years ago, as I mentioned, and everything we did or have been doing, focusing on one segment, which actually is the full service type of hotel, from the luxury to mid-scale, upper mid-scale. But we're not having other product and service to address the new requirement from the customers. And even one same travelers, all right, they probably want to have different kind of experience when they travel in a different occasion. So therefore, last year we came up with the directions and strategy that for our group, now we actually have 271 properties in 14 countries, mainly in Asia, Middle East, and also in Africa. Of those 271 properties that we do have, mainly in one segment, we should also creating other brand and other type of service and experience that we can also offer to our customer as well. So last year we came up with a new brand called Asai, ASAI. And this brand is pretty much addressing the millennial type of lifestyle. And by the way, when we talk about millennial, I actually have a different kind of opinion a little bit about millennial, right? Because when we talk about millennial, normally people classify millennial by an age. Like say, for example, Suphajee, you actually baby boomer, or I'm actually Gen X, but I'm not accepting that. I'm still millennial because it doesn't matter on your age, but it's your lifestyle. So this segment that we're creating in the brand is to address the millennial lifestyle. And basically, these are the characters that we have for our hotel, as you probably see here. Because people in this kind of, the mindset, when they travel, they like to explore local experience. So we design the hotels to have it's actually not the budget hotels, by the way. We do focus on value of money and quality of product and service that we have. The room would be designed smartly to address the requirement. For example, we may not need to have a desk, working desk in the room. but we actually have the swinger that our guests can use on bed to work on their computers or their device, right? And also TVs should be IPTVs and others, and no check-in and check-out. We have self check-in kiosks, right? And the other concept
This is for the Asai Hotel.
Asai.
Yeah. Asai.
So that is the room designs and stuff. But what important for Asai, another character is, as I mentioned, these people, they probably want to explore and a local experience. So we decided the common area, the communal space to be eat, work, play. In the morning, it could be a breakfast line that is required for our guests to they stay in this type of hotel. Later in the morning, it will turn to be a co-living, co-working space. At late afternoon, evening and night, it will turn to be a bar, and it's going to be a hangout area for people. So common space, communal space would basically have that kind of characters. And we also have a very strong direction on sustainability, right? Plastic free is a must already this day, right? But everything in this hotel is reusable, recycled, because we want to ensure that we address millennial mindset, because people this day are focused on the sustainability. And then, we use a lot of technology, as mentioned. We do not have check-in and check-out. You can use your mobile phones, your applications to open the room. And also, we are capturing an information, I call it digital guide map, of the area that you are in. Like the first Asai that's going to open the door to the customer would be early next year during the Chinese New Year. It's going to be at the middle of Chinatown here in Thailand, next to the MRT stations in Chinatown. For this, while we are preparing the hotels to be ready to receive our guests, we're working on applications, and we're working with the merchants, we're working with the restaurant around Chinatown to put them into our map. So therefore, the guests who stay in our hotels, they look into the map, they know where to go, where to eat, where to hang out. And we also embedded and use a lot of the integration with our education, because we do have also education, right? We use our students to be a navigator or advisor to the guests. If the guests like to go, walk around in Chinatown, we actually offer our staff to go with them. This type of hotel will not have the banquet space, meeting space, not have much of the back of house. So it's going to be very lean and will be very effective.
So of all the projects that you have, it seems like the Asai Hotels is the one that is the most exciting for you.
Well, we do have quite a bit more,
Okay.
right? Asai is just one, because as I mentioned, travelers probably require different kind of experience at any point in time when they travel. Asai is to address millennial lifestyle, as I mentioned.
And there is no age. When you designed it, did you have as you said, millennial in your mind could be any age. But when you were putting the rooms together, were you thinking of an age group, or were you thinking of a lifestyle person? Because,
I'm thinking of the requirement, the lifestyle.
Right.
All right, and what can we do to offer the services and solutions and product that fit the lifestyle? I don't even think about the age.
Okay.
Millennial lifestyle, this is actually the structures, this is how they like. We did a lot of research, all right, to understand those in order for us to capture and then put together. When we announced Asai in April last year, we start investing in the prototype. The first one, as I mentioned, is going to open in Chinatown. The other one will be in Suthumpun 12 here in Bangkok as well. And we have 5 more to go right now. One is in Akihabara in Tokyo. Another 2 will be in Cebu, the lovely countries, Philippines, and also in Myanmar. So it's actually got traction, because people start to realize that this could be some solution.
Okay. So I have a question. So if you don't have any age group in mind, and it's the lifestyle issue, how do you determine the price or the room rate, because if you are targeting a wide age group between say 25 and 50 or whatever, and it's all based on lifestyle, how do you then determine what is the room rate for this particular hotel?
Well, they use a lot of data. That is actually my background anyway, right? So we did a lot of research, and then we define our competitive set, and we get information about the area, and then we come up with the pricing that would address those. So we did a lot of research to make sure that the pricing that we set for this type of hotel would address the requirement that the customer has.
Okay. So is it going to be expensive, or is it going to be
Never.
How is it going to be?
It's value for money.
How would you describe the pricing? I mean, this is not something we've discussed. I'm just curious. How would be the pricing level of this? How would you consider it? Moderate?
I would say that it's in the middle.
Okay, so it's
not
between
cheap.
your traditional. There's a Dusit 2 hotel as well. You know, I mean, you've got
Yes,
other.
I have Dusit Thani, Dusit D2, Dusit Princess, Dusit Varana. Each are the full service type of hotel with different kind of characters. Aside would actually be in the middle,
Okay.
but not the budget hotel, obviously.
Oh yes.
But then I also have another set of offering now that I'm actually quite exciting as well. Last year in October, I just took over a group of company who provide luxury villas, who provide the personalized kind of service to the customers. This group called Elite Heaven, they actually founded themselves in Singapore. All right, they offer the personalized experience to their guests. Villa is actually very high end in 5-6 countries. They have in Maldives, Bali, Lombok, in Indonesia, in Sri Lanka, Hokkaido, the ski resorts in Niseko. In Thailand, they have also quite a bit of villas in Phuket and Samui. What they do is for these type of villas, they offer personal butler, personal housekeeper, personal chef. So before the customer arrive at the properties, they know exactly what to do. And everything is personalized service. This is another experience that I see is actually growing. Because people now, when they travel, sometimes this is another kind of lifestyle, right? They travel with multiple generation, right? So for example, I just came back from the US, and I travel with my mother, 80 plus. I travel with my son, 20 plus. I travel with my niece and nephew as well. It's very young. It's actually quite not that comfortable to be in a hotel, traditional kind of hotel. I like to have a space that we are together, but I also want to be pampered because I cannot afford to be away from work as much. So therefore, I like to be pampered by personalized kind of services. Mm-hmm. So this is actually the type of offering that we have to offer to the guests as well. So anyone in the room, if you like to try our service for Elite Heaven, I have about 200 plus villas across 5-6 countries. And then in order to complete the traveling spectrum, I also invest in the platform. Like we know share economies, the bread and butter kind of room, only type of offering, like Airbnb type like. I also invest in the platform called Fav Stay. Fav Stay come from favorite stay. This one, no services. Service is only on demand, which provided by Dusit. Now I have about 40,000 property listed for that platform across in these countries and our neighborhood countries. So with this, then the customers who come to Dusit will also have experience. If they like to have different kind of experience, they don't have to go out and then exploring with the kind of booking engine. The longest that we can connect and we have the longest customer engagement with our group I think that would be a chance for us to still, be relevant in the market.
Okay, now let's talk about one of the main attractions that, I mean, she said she was chosen as the first CEO outside the founding family. And one of the attractions I heard or I read about you, what you bring to the table, is that you are very focused on education. And you have come up with an innovative way of addressing one of the big problems of the industry, which is technology. Perhaps you'd like to speak to the crowd about that or the audience about that.
Thank you. One of the key challenges for our industry, hospitality industry, is skill. All right, we have quite a lot of education. Quite a lot of school, university, college who offer this kind of education, addressing the hotel management and all. But mainly they focus on the degree programs. I think we also need to ensure that the elements or the curriculum of our offerings should also address the practice as well. My model for education is the combination of three main areas. I normally share with my teams that it is about head, heart, and hand. Head is the academic competency, the skill that we really require to have. And with this, then we actually not going to compromise the standard. We need to also ensure that our curriculum is actually address those kind of skill requirement. At the end of the day, we also have quite a lot of practice that integrate into the course that we offer as well. And most importantly in our group is the passion, is the hard part. Because gracious hospitality is the unique kind of offering that we want to make sure that people who come through our education program go out, they can also deliver this graciousness with their heart and their passion. So the integration between the head, heart, and hand is my model. And what we're trying to do is one of the projects, since you show this slide, this is actually our school that just newly opened last month in August in Philippines at the Fort area. It is the truly integrated between education and hotel operations. It's in the same building. The first 9th floor is the college, and above are the hotels and service apartment. We actually embedded the training of our curriculums in the day-to-days and in the practice as well. Understand what does it take in terms of the theory. And then, in the afternoon, you have to be, as the operators and the staff in the hotel as well, because this hotel will also be, serviced by the student as well. So that is actually how we integrate. First year, they would actually focus on rank and file. As I mentioned, this also is important. Second year, focus on supervisory level. Third year, managerial. And the fourth year would be about analytics. Because as I also mentioned, data is very important, and how we use it is also something that is important that our students need to know. So when we announced this project in Philippines, we got quite a lot of attention from the owners in other countries that they like us to have this kind of model in those countries as well. The other features that we like to also have in this type of our education is we like to position this college or this, the hotel, this project as innovation lab to showcasing and try out the new solutions that, probably not available yet, but could also be something that relevant and acceptable in the future.
And this is the first time that your school is introducing technology in its syllabus, correct?
We plan to.
Yeah.
Because I think IT is it's very important these days. You need to understand, not only understand, you need to know how to use it as well. So therefore, we intend to also include that into the syllabus.
Okay. All right. Now, I wanted to talk to you about the future and the challenges that your group faces in the future. Let me just gonna show you some stills of the then and now of the Dusit Thani, what it looks like, just to illustrate kind of the plans that you have for the future. But I'm really more interested after you've done, after we show this stills. This is how the new Dusit multi-use business.
The Dusit Thani Bangkok.
The Dusit Thani Bangkok. This is how it will look when it's finished in 3 years? Time?
Yeah, about 3.5.
3.5 years time. So this is what it would look like during the day, and this is what it would look at night. It's quite impressive. Now, what I wanted to understand is, how are you going to deal with the challenges of technology? I'm particularly interested in how you're going to deal with, as I said, the privacy laws, people skills, and other issues that may be related to technology, cybersecurity being one of them.
Well, I think the challenge for the industry is similar to any other industry. We all are being disrupted, and because of the capabilities of technologies that allow the people who don't need to have a legacy system or the existing business model can come and disrupt the industry. Every industry, hospitality is included. So to me, I believe that the challenge that we're going to address and we can do in order to stay relevant are the three characters that we need to also take into consideration every time you're trying to do something. The three things that I have in mind is convenience, experience, and value, right? I think if we can provide convenience to our guests, to our employees, to all the stakeholders, the chance to survive is better. Because you probably heard of the new business model that they probably don't need to own any properties or asset, right? But they provide access to the guests because they provide convenience. That is actually one of the disruption that's happening. Experience as well. This is an experience kind of economy. We need to also be able to deliver experience that beyond expectation all the time, and people get bored easily. So if you think that this is actually the things that we can do and we impress them, we have to do even more. And then lastly, value. We talk about pricing and stuff, right? The value of money. We don't have to be cheapest, but we need to also ensure that we provide value for money. And I think this applies for all industry. And technology would be enabler for us to be able to provide convenience, provide good experience, provide values to our customers. But it is actually very powerful. You need to understand the technology. And if you want me to talk about technology, then Maria, you actually have to have another 2 hours with me, because that is actually my experience, right? I'm not going to talk about cloud. I'm not going to talk about data. I'm not going to talk about mobilities, AI, VR. I think those actually comes and go and it evolve, right? But what I think we need to also understand is how we use that technology to help support your objective. As I already mentioned, to become convenient, to provide good experience, to be of values to the customers. And at the same time, although it is actually powerful, you need to also think about the disadvantage and the challenge side of it. You mentioned about cybersecurity and also data privacy. Let me go a little bit in details of each. Cybersecurity, people will normally focus on two things. One is protection. How would you, implement or roll out the system in your organization to ensure that you have the good protections and you actually have enough tools to detect the issues? To me, that is a given. You need to have it. But at the same time, what you also need to do, and people may not focus much, is how you respond to the incident and how you recover from an incident. We have seen so many examples, that happening in the world on how we address this situation. And if you respond it well, if you recover it well, the chance of being, the coming back as a normal, the business would be better. So
have you had any experience or?
yes, obviously. So we need to also ensure that our people, when people talk about technology, they would talk about tools and system, the process, and how we invest on those IT equipment, right? But they probably not really think about the people side of it, because awareness is actually very important. Cybersecurity is not an IT job. It is actually everyone in the organization, because the loop, the hole actually happen everywhere. So you need to be able to create the awareness in order to be able to detect, protect, and also respond. And to respond, you need to also define what is the level of response and what is the communications that you need to do with all the stakeholder when the incident happening. So that is actually where I think is very important. The other one about data, you know that EU come out with the general data protection regulation, and it's also applied to many areas, and the penalty is very huge. It's 4% of the revenue, which is actually very, very high. So while I talk a lot about data, we must ensure we understand how and the level and the limit on how we can use that data to our benefit, and at the same time not invaded that privacy. So you need to really understand that. So every time you probably need to have to ask for the consent from the customers that you're going to use it, or if not, then you need to scramble that data that you cannot define their personality, that you only know their personalities but not their identity. Say, for example, it's the woman at 25 years old and very good looking, have this kind of lifestyle, but not Maria. So if you can scramble that data that you cannot identify that this is Maria Ronson, then you will be fine.
You must have a team of lawyers looking at this.
Well, we have to learn about this. In Thailand also, we're going to have this effective in May next year. All right, but EU, I think it's already been in effect, and I'm not going to name about the situation with our peers in this industry that got fined because of this data privacy issue.
And the people skills, because you
yes.
can have these fancy hotels with all fancy equipment, and yet you have a problem with the internet. And then you get somebody who's just looking at you and just saying, "I have a problem."
Skill is very important, but also as important is awareness, right? You need to also ensure that everyone in the organization aware that yes, the technology data is very powerful, but how and what's the limit that you can use it.
So what are you doing to train your folks so that those? By the way, what will be the internet speed of the Dusit Thani Bangkok? Because that is like a big.
In the next 4
headache.
years, I don't really know. Probably
No.
5G, the equivalent, or
Okay.
6G, I don't know. Right now, a lot of, when you talk about technology, Maria, we cannot catch up. As we speak, it's already shipped.
Yeah. Okay. So
We must
whatever
ensure
it is,
that
it
we
will be
stay
very
relevant.
fast.
Yes.
As good as it's happening.
Exactly.
Okay. Good. All right. Now we're going to go to the most interesting part of this discussion, in my opinion. I'll go full circle to my introduction. But before I do that, let me show you just a bunch of slides. So don't you think she's got a job to die for? So I'll go back to my original introduction. You came from Bachelor of Science in Sociology and Anthropology. And then you ended up in technology. In a job, normally that jump would have happened from an engineering, a software, somewhere on the technical. But sociology and anthropology to technology seems like a big shift. How did it happen?
Well, I think everything is actually about people, Maria. My principle is I always respect people who I work with, and if I want to be treated that way, I treat them that way too. And we have to admit the fact that we don't need to know everything, but we need to know what is our strength and what is our weakness, and how we work with people, and how we place people at the right time and the right place. So the nomadic job, it is, whether it is IT, whether it is satellite, whether it is hospitality, education, and by the way, I do have quite a lot of food initiative as well, and we didn't really have time to talk about it. It's all about people. If we be able to work with them and motivate them to work with us toward the same objective and same goal, that's all it takes.
But what about the skill of learning? Because the skill that you picked up from studying sociology and anthropology might work with dealing with people. As you say, it's an important part.
My major is in psychology.
Okay. And
So that is actually what does it take. I
Okay.
work with people. I understand them. I respect them.
Okay.
And in fact, I have one favorite quote from Dr. Maya Angelou. Anyone, know about Dr. Maya Angelou? I like it, and that is actually what I'm doing every day. People may forget what you say. People may forget what you did. But people will not forget how you make them feel. So if you genuine, you actually real, you authentic, you be yourself, you be bold about who you are, and you respect people who you work with. And we always think about benefit of a team, not individual benefit. We start ourselves with purpose. All right. I always have my passions that I like to bring Thais to the world, and that's what I've been doing for my, the whole career. That's all. That's all it takes.
So for people here who are, there might be someone here or a couple of people here who are just starting out into the business world or would like to achieve what you have achieved, become CEO of a satellite provider or of Dusit Thani Hotels, Dusit Thani PLC, which encompasses a huge amount of business. How do I get to that level, and how do I travel that journey from graduating and then becoming CEO and then sitting on the board of important corporations? What were the challenges that you faced along
I think
the way?
we start with the purpose, as I said. Since I was very young, what I like to do is I like to show the world about how great Thai people are. And I started my career in IBM. As I said, I've been with them for 23 years. After I was the country manager, the managing director for the country, normally Thai who were appointed at this post, after they finish the post, they leave the organizations and doing something in local. And the reason maybe that Thai people don't like to work overseas. I like to prove that Thai can also work at the regional level that give the policy and direction as well. So that's what I did. And I did quite a bit. I worked in the headquarters in New York as the EA, executive assistant to our CEO. And I was handpicked to work on that role. I was very proud. Worked with him for about nearly 2 years. And then I feel that when I look back, there's actually no pipeline of Thai executive that come to that level anymore. So then I decided that then I quit IBM, although at that time my career was in the peak. I like to come back to the countries and bring the organization, bring the company out for the world to see. That's why I chose to join Thaicom as the CEO. And I think during the time I was actually quite successful. I can make Thaicom as the best satellite provider in Asia. I was actually named the best CEO of Asia, and I had no background for that reason. Every year when we had the conference in DC, Washington, DC, talk about future directions of satellite, Thaicom, me and also my staff, had to be there and then tell the world of what should it be. So I was proud. So I bring not only myself, but I bring the whole team. Now I'm actually working in the group, and I'm so fortunate that I'm working with the group that I'm planting the flag of Thai gracious hospitality to the world. So that is actually all I can do. So if you start with that purpose and you have commitment and discipline to be able to achieve that, you respect people who you work with, and you be bold and be brave of who you are, I'm sure that you can overcome any kind of challenge in front of you.
Well, we're going to have a room full of CEOs and board members here after listening to your advice. We hope you found this session interesting. At least you've learned a few lessons on how to become CEO. And if you want to hear anything more about technology, well, we'll have to have a next hour or so to do that. In the meantime, please give a round of applause and say thank you. Coming and sitting with us. Thank you.
I really appreciate seeing two women up on stage having a good conversation. And I think it's interesting when to draw information out of a CEO on technology can sometimes be really challenging because it's not something that they are directly responsible for every day. It wasn't just about technology, even though this is a technology conference. It was sort of a good blend of hearing about how people and technology come together to really deliver a great experience for the guest.
I thought it was a very balanced approach where we are reminded that whatever we think about in terms of the technology, which is what HTNG is about, it is coming back to how it would affect people, how it could bring people together, and how to synergize them so that we can create successful, sustainable businesses with a positive social impact. So I think it was a really, really fantastic new balance to understanding what technology's role is in hospitality.
Very interesting. Dusit Hospitality here in Thailand, what more could you ask for? Two ladies on the stage talking about it. And what really surprised me was Dusit has over 200 hotels. I had no idea that there were that many properties. The CEO focused on guest service and used technology as an enabler to deliver that and didn't really go away from that point. It was always back to guest service, unique guest service.